Could Nvidia be a $15 trillion company by the year 2030? That is a very short runway, but looking at the article that we've seen today and really making waves, a lot of analysts are suggesting that if one key trend really does play out, Nvidia could see ballooning valuations past Apple, past Microsoft, even both of them combined. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what that prediction looks like based on the assumptions that are driving it. Now, if you know, and if you caught the portfolio, we are buying Nvidia every single day that the market is open through Robinhood. We do have some links down below. What it might mean for investors like me and you is if this company continues the trajectory that we're seeing for growth, the valuation and the stock itself could go kind of crazy. So let's separate the hype that we're seeing from the actual math behind this. Now, when we start thinking of Nvidia, it is a superstar. When you look at graphic chip company that is powering video games, that is the backbone, and they are the backbone for artificial intelligence, computing, and of course, data center infrastructure. So when we look at how much money, and this is where it kind of gets crazy, that Nvidia is currently generating, which of course could be eclipsed in the next couple of years. As of right now, Nvidia is worth $4.3 trillion and generates tens of billions of dollars in annual revenue. And of course, most of the recent growth that we're seeing within the stock is coming from those AI data centers. Now, the article that they had over on the Money Fool was talking about a $15 trillion call that really argues that next generation that is going to be coming with Nvidia, it is going to be AI-driven data centers. So we are taking the best part of artificial intelligence computing and combining it with data center infrastructures. And it's going to be kind of crazy. And it can take this company to an entire different level than we have ever seen from a single company in history. Now, the one thing that is really driving this, which is the magic ingredient, according to analysts, it is going to come down to massive growth in those global data centers and the AI infrastructure that we're seeing right now. But the logic and the reasoning behind it is pretty sound. Over the next decade, cloud providers, governments, and corporations are expected to spend trillions of dollars to build and upgrade data centers capable of running advanced artificial intelligence models, which means they are going to need everything that Nvidia is really developing and also what they're building. Nvidia currently dominates the market for the GPUs, really running the power for this computing revolution and what is going to be coming. Even looking on cutting edge technology, they completely dominate the market. If Nvidia maintains this same level of market share that we're seeing, they will capture an enormous amount of that spending, especially when it comes to governments, when it comes to companies that want the best that is on the market. They are going to turn to Nvidia. So even looking at the calculations, imagine global AI and data structure infrastructure spending reaches several trillion dollars. And again, the math behind it can definitely be feasible. If Nvidia were to generate, let's say, 750 billion in annual revenue by 2030, which we know is about 4 short years away, and the market applied the price to sales multiplier, as of today, that would push the capitalization of this company north of $15 trillion as it sits today, which is going to be kind of crazy. Just thinking again that we could see this run up another 1,000, 2,000% for the value in the upcoming years. So putting this into perspective, to give you an idea of exactly how huge and how big this could be, Apple, the most valuable company that was in the world, was sitting around the 3 to 4 trillion range shortly ago. Microsoft, very similar. So if Nvidia spikes and goes to that 15 trillion, they would be worth more than Apple, Microsoft, Amazon today, based on evaluations, just thinking of this company. It's absolutely mind-boggling leap within a couple years. But again, even if we're thinking that $15 trillion price tag that we see for Nvidia, let's say, for instance, right now they're at about 4.3. Let's say it hits 8. Let's say it hits 10. Even if it doesn't push all the way up to that 15 trillion, guys, if they're 8, 9, 10 trillion dollars, even shorting, running, 30% short of that 15 trillion number, that is still going to be a massive, massive expenditure that we're seeing. So of course, projections are only as strong as the assumptions. So let's look at some of these potential pitfalls that we could see with some of these companies. Now, the first one, relentless AI spending, where the forecast assumes that companies and government will keep pouring money into infrastructure for AI at an accelerated rate like what we're seeing. So if the economy does slow down, if early AI projects really fail to deliver, those big profit numbers, of course, could go away. Spending could cool off if the economy starts to heat up. Now, NVIDIA maintaining the dominance right now, NVIDIA's GPUs are the gold standard when it comes to really the GPU and dominating the market. But when we start thinking of customers like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, if they start coming up with their own custom chips, the reliance might not be as much as on NVIDIA. If those alternative chips catch up, which I don't feel they will, especially because NVIDIA is developing R&D like crazy, but the market cap and the share price could definitely shrink if there is a lot more competition out there. Third one, valuations stay very high. Now, when we use price to sales ratio and what they could do, historically, as companies really mature, investor demand lowers really multiply, especially if interest rates remain elevated. But the Fed has already shared that one rate has already happened. We could see another two rates this year, making money a lot more cheaper, meaning a lot of companies will put more money into infrastructure, AI. They'll have the ability to actually get a lot more capital at a much cheaper rate. Now, the fourth one, power and infrastructure. This is one of the scary things that we think about when we have companies like Nvidia, when we have companies like Amazon that are literally building nuclear reactors because of the data and the infrastructure and the power that is required to run these systems. AI data centers require a crazy amount of electricity, cooling, and real estate. Energy costs, environmental regulations, grid limitations could slow rollout for artificial intelligence. And number five, and the final one, technological disruptions. What if new architecture like quantum computing, optical chips, or something that we haven't even thought of in the next couple years are revealed as really the new GPU that is going to be running, making NVIDIA's a little bit, again, kind of a little bit backseated to what could be coming in technology. Any of these factors could really derail again from hitting that $15 trillion scenario. But again, thinking about the realistic scenario, so bringing it back, reeling it back a little bit, analysts have also said more moderate possibilities, which could be in the very near future. Seeing NVIDIA reach $5 to $8 trillion by the next 2 or 3 years could absolutely be feasible if AI continues to grow, but spending normalizes and it isn't even hyperinflated by the government spending that they're expecting. Even now, that would make and really create the dominance that we're seeing with NVIDIA being the largest company in history. Might not be quite the moonshot up to that $15 trillion, but even if it hit that 8 to 10 like we talked about, that would be kind of crazy. So what exactly does this mean for investors? How should investors really go in here and focus on it? Remember, the potential doesn't mean the certainty. When it comes to investing in companies, especially artificial intelligence, the 15 trillion target would be the best case scenario. Not guaranteed by any means, but I do not feel like Nvidia is going anywhere. And even looking at a lot of them, even looking at Kramer has said when you're looking at buying a company, Nvidia would be the one to buy. And I believe he had a secondary company in there, but it's interesting to see that when it even comes to a strong buy and a buy, nobody's selling the company and it has a lot of runway. So if you're very bullish on AI like I am, Nvidia is clearly one of the core players, really positioned for size, diversification. Long-term horizons are the key when it comes to investing. So rather than betting everything into a company like Nvidia, you can build it in part of a diversified portfolio like we've seen before. Because if you're holding something like the VOO, if you're holding the VTI, even if you're holding some of our semiconductors, some of the AI technology, chances are if any of it is market weighted cap, as Nvidia continues to grow, you're going to start seeing systematically that if the company is getting to 8 and $10 trillion, they're going to be taking up a bulk of those ETFs. So even though you might not be investing directly into a company like Nvidia, chances are you still have exposure through a lot of the tech companies. So to wrap it up, guys, Nvidia reaching that 15 trillion mark by 2030 would require some very big explosive growth when it comes to artificial intelligence and the infrastructure with dominance in the GPU space. But honestly, the conditions are not too crazy. I mean, we're not really shooting for the moon, but what do you think about Nvidia? Is it a bold prediction? Is it pure speculation for this $15 trillion price tag? Drop your thoughts in the comment. Let me know, and I would love to know where you stand on this. And if you found it helpful in any way, give it a like, share it with anyone who needs to see it, and subscribe to the channel for more and looking at some of the biggest opportunities or risks that are out there when it comes to artificial intelligence. And I'll catch you in the next one.